Do you really think that Ukraine army can stand for another 2 weeks, taking into consideration that Russia didn't use all what it has?
Sure. Well, it's a great question. I think right now we've heard senior U.S. officials say that Russia has committed 100% of its readiness force into the operation. Of course, we don't have independent verification of that at the moment. We do know that Russia has been pouring in more of its resources into the conflict as of recently. We know that it's not been expended yet, of course. I think that it does seem that Russia would be able to sustain an operations of this nature for another 2 weeks, certainly. It depends, though, if Russia chooses to escalate, which is something that we've seen more in past days and past weeks as well of this conflict, is that Russia willing to use a greater force, still not leveraging the full extent of Russia's military might, of course. We're talking about a contingent of Russia's forces that have been pre-planned for this operation. There's always the possibility, given the proximity of this conflict to Russia's own borders and that of Belarus, its ally, that Russia could invest more into this conflict, of course, at a greater cost.
So just a direct question on Qanat. Why puts Russia just to hold its military operation directly? Why they are not investing everything they have?
Well, I think that part of this is that Russia wanted to mitigate the sort of costs ahead of time that this would inflict upon Russia's own military. And most major countries, when they wage any sort of operation, whether it was the U.S. and other conflicts, would not put in the full extent of their military involved. They sort of want to ration out a part of it. It does seem that Russia has faced quite severe resistance from Ukrainian forces, perhaps more than anticipated, especially in the early stages of this. But now we're seeing Russia really gearing up some of these operations, getting into major cities, and this is where fears were that casualties could really skyrocket at some point when this battle takes a more urban nature, when Russia is using more intensive firepower, and Ukrainian forces are forced to sort of regroup in the cities themselves.